I said, hey, yo, what is going on, guys? It's your boy Mojados, and we back for another Bitcoin monthly update. I was actually gonna stop doing these, but why not? Let's just check them out from an Elliot wave perspective, because even if we're, you know, don't have a clear picture yet, we can still assume some areas at our bottom and use Elliott wave to the best of our abilities to assume what to expect, right? And as you guys are aware, I did have a thread on my page. I'm not going to go into it, but this was basically a running flat scenario, and I saw it in early, September, that we were going to get a run here, even early July of 2021, that we're going to get a move up. Thread is on my page. I'm not going to get into it, but right now, I mean, I was able to even catch the lows here at 17K, and I'm going to show you guys some evidence that this could be, again, a local low. If you guys have not been watching my market updates that I do every single day, you guys can go back to around early June. I was saying this is the bottom, that we're going to have a bounce here. This is too much confluence. It was so easy for this to play out, and we did get a bounce from here. And I didn't do a monthly update. I probably will continue doing this moving forward. But let's just jump right in, okay? So first things first, I just want to preface this video with some stuff. And this is from a Discord. I was talking to a buddy after the running flat was essentially invalidated. I show him the expanded flat scenario, and it's kind of hard to see in this photo here, which I'm going to break down for you guys. But you can see, like, right here, that this is early June, right? It didn't happen yet, but I was assuming in early June we were going to get a move to the upside here, right? And we did. And this is, again, in 5/12. My friend says no comment because he's like tired of me showing both scenarios. And that's okay. But the reason why I was able to assume that is because if this running flat was invalidated, then the other potential flat that we see could be a running flat. And the reason why we can assume it's a running flat is because, of course, in every single flat is a three-wave move, okay? And what you can see is that A is 98 days, B is 112 days, and the way you calculate C, the reason why I knew in early June we would get a move is if you add the two dates together, right? So 112 days plus 98 days, A plus B equals C. Okay, that's how a flat would work. If A and B are essentially almost close in time, you can add them together, and that is how I got early June. And the reason why it was so obvious to get a bounce from there is that this is from, the previous cycle high, and it was confluent with wave 3 territory. So this is an easy buy. If you think I'm bullshitting here, go look at some early June market updates. I shared all. Everything is super transparent. You gotta love the internet because everything is there, okay? And we're just watching now to see if this does hold. But again, that's the only thing that I can see from an Elliott wave perspective, that this is essentially a low, right? There are other scenarios where, this could have been an X wave, right? Like this was a failed motive, and this was actually a running flat, right? We failed here, and then this is starting a double ABC correction to the downside, right? Where this plays up, becomes an X, and then ABCs again, and then this is the bottom. That's a very, very possible scenario. I'm not saying that it stops at 13K, but I'm just saying that in an X wave, you get a double ABC correction usually. So we're gonna have to watch closely for that to play out. Am I saying that wave 5 also goes to new highs? No, I'm not saying that yet, although it may. And it's also possible that we even get a wave 5 that truncates, right? It doesn't mean we're gonna go make new highs. We can literally come up to 50K and just completely fall. So I'm not saying that. I'm playing it level by level. Right now, it was very clear that we did get a high, or I'm sorry, a local low at 20K. So that's why it was so simple. Another thing that made it so simple for me was that over here, I shared this on my Twitter as well, was that every single cycle, and I'm using the 2-week because it was the most confluent across all time zones. Whenever we floated down here at the 40 range, that was the low, right? So you see here, goes sideways, and then it comes back up price essentially, then it revisits that low. And we're putting in a low right now, in my opinion, before we start going up again. And that's really going to determine what happens next, right? So do we have momentum to hold the highs like we did here in the 2011 cycle, right? Does the price go up, hold, and like essentially doesn't come back down again to the low RSI level like we saw over here, where in 2015 price consolidates and the RSI comes back down to lows here one more time before it starts running again. And similarly, again in 2017, you see that price makes a low at 3K, RSI chills out over here. In 2019 in January, price makes a high and then revisits a low here again. And so what we're watching closely is that, does the price come back up to these highs here? Do we revisit the RSI low here? How does it subdivide? And that's, again, the real question that we're just waiting to see, because of course BTC can play out in a few different ways. But what I think is most interesting, guys, is that we're going to start chopping more, okay? And the reason why I'm saying that is because of external factors. I'm looking at the BTC.D chart. What you can see here is that we're losing dominance, okay? So BTC losing dominance just means that, you know, we're going to head into an alt season most likely. And the reason why that's good for, you know, trying to predicate what happens with BTC is that it can kind of tell us what happens when BTC loses dominance, right? What we saw here, right, in 2017 all the way to December was basically BTC did go on, you know, a rampage, but alts outperformed it. And then, of course, this is what led to the dominance losing because of the alt season. And then it reclaims the dominance, right? Basically saying that the top is in for alts, right? And BTC is going to start essentially correcting or pumping, right? And in this instance, what we saw was that alts were done, right? So what am I saying right now? What I'm saying right now is that because dominance is falling, because BTC looks like it's going to continue chopping, one can assume that BTC is most likely going to continue chopping, and whether that's, you know, going like this, right? Maybe putting in a high up here and then coming back down again, just staying range bound, and then allowing alts to run here, because this is a big range, right? If you look at this, this is a range, and I've also shared the same exact picture here before it dropped on my Twitter, because this is giving heavy vibes that dominance is going to fall, and we are seeing Ethereum pretty much outperform BTC right now. Even if you look at the ETH to BTC ratio chart, you're also seeing a big shift in momentum. So as long as all those things remain, as long as BTC stays range bound, there's no reason to assume that, hey, we're not going to get alt season. So again, it's just interesting to see it all across the board. Another thing that's really interesting is this volume, right? Usually at bottoms, you see a big spike in volume, right? So you can see it, like this is what happened in, you know, 20 as well, right? In March 2020, you see a big drop in volume, here, right? And what's more interesting is that this was like a market-driven bottom, right? Where you saw like COVID hit. This is like consecutive volume, lots of like people basically panicking. And, you know, you had the 3AK, you had Luna, UST, bunch of things unfolding, which led to all these things. Even Tesla sold their Bitcoin, which led to a bunch of funny business. And, you know, it's just a lot of things that just you have to take into consideration. But if I had to assume monthly levels, I'm going to clear up this chart because I think it'll make it easier. You know, this is an area where I would look at next. If we broke everything, if everything went to hell, this is the next area where price would fall to, okay? And that's around 12K to 10K. We can even go as low as like 97, but I just think that's extremely unlikely. And we should not assume that just yet because of how much momentum we saw to the downside here and how quickly momentum has changed ever since we hit that low. So again, we're chilling here. RSI does look interesting on the weekly here. It does look like it wants to grind up, but it's still bearish. So the big thing to keep in mind here is that everything happens in cycles. Nothing happens in a straight line. The market is here to trick you. But you know, take it easy, be chill, because at the end of the day, whatever your strategy is, we know where this where Bitcoin is going to end up, right? Even if you look at the on-chain side, there's a lot of like bullish momentum being built up, but this volume is very bullish. I do think that if we do get one more drop, it is going to be the final drop. But right now, there's no reason to panic. I think we continue chopping, and I think that alts will take the lead. And yeah, if you guys want to stick around and know more on a day-to-day basis, you guys can definitely feel free to subscribe and watch the daily market updates that I share here. And also check out my Twitter page as well. Link is in the bio for updates on that as well, because I do update BTC on a day-to-day basis, but I don't really do like a macro outlook like I am right now. So I do think that I will continue doing these. And if you guys did make it this far, I really appreciate you guys. Please like. It really helps the algorithm. And as always, haro haro haro. Peace.